Shobi, thank you so much for joining us here at the Vancouver International Film Festival. You've got Her Paradise here in the festival this year. Can you tell us a bit about the film?
Yeah, of course. First of all, thank you for having me here. The film is about a little girl that's being abused at home, and she uses art and her imagination to escape to another world, to find hope in the darkness.
So this story you actually wrote yourself as well.
Yeah.
Can you tell me where the story comes from?
Yeah, a lot of it I feel like is inspired by just personal experience as well as hearing a lot of people's stories. But I was sitting one night and was listening to music, and I had this image of a girl who was in a bedroom surrounded by fireflies, and I kind of was like, well, what's her story? What's going on with her? And it was like a feeling almost, and it felt like there's something dark that she was trying to run away from. And then it just developed from there. So, yeah.
It was just one of those nights where the ideas were just like flowing.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it kind of just like downloaded, I guess, you could
Well,
say.
the subject of child abuse, it can be quite heavy, but you had a sort of a different storytelling approach.
Yeah.
Why did you kind of go, from that angle?
I think it's because I've seen a lot of films with the themes of child abuse and domestic abuse. And a lot of the time, which I think is a really good thing to do, they focus on the abuse and the trauma. But I felt like this time I wanted to tell a story where this was what was happening, but I didn't want to glorify the darkness. I wanted to sort of speak from a point of light and hope and focus more on how you can escape that and how you can find a way out of it, without focusing on the trauma aspect of it. Yeah. So.
Did you have any visual references for the film that you wanted to achieve in your mind?
I did. One of my biggest visual references was The Lovely Bones by Peter Jackson. Visually, like in terms of her world and the story of the girl trapped in that heaven, I guess you could say. That captured me. And so I think when I was writing it, I had like those images in my head. But I wanted it to be more childlike because the girl in my story is a lot younger than the girl in Lovely Bones.
And Lovely Bones. And so she is quite young. What was the casting process like in working with a child?
Oh yeah, this is my first time working with children, and it was very interesting. The casting process was tough because we had months of casting calls.
Okay.
We saw tons of different children. I had a visual reference in mind for her. Like, I was very strongly opinionated about how I wanted her to look. I wanted her to be an ethnically ambiguous African mixed child. I don't really know why.
It was the vision.
But yeah, it was the vision, but I didn't let that stop me from holding auditions to everyone because I wanted to give people a chance to sort of come in and try out the part. So we auditioned tons of different children, but my casting director, he showed me a photo of Cassidy, the girl who plays Alina, and he was like, I have a feeling you're going to choose her, but let's just wait until the audition. But she was fantastic from the minute she walked in. I didn't even have to explain much about the character. She got it, and she was really young, so it surprised me how well she connected to the story, and she was able to bring that emotion out of somewhere deep within, and that really helped and fleshed out Elena the way I saw her in my head. And working with children was interesting because the time that we had to work with her was very limited. We had 7 hours out of a 12-hour shooting day. That's including a break in between. And I had an amazing first AD who was also so close to the story that he was like, we're going to get this done. So he scheduled the day perfectly, and we never went over time, which was awesome. So, yeah.
Was there a particular audience you had in mind for the film and when you were developing the idea?
Yeah, I think I really wanted to target people who are, very much familiar with, child abuse, people who had children, people who had younger siblings, sort of more familial type figures, so that, because for me it's a story where I wanted people to realize that sometimes you do have to listen, you do have to keep an eye out, because this happens all the time, it happens everywhere. So I wanted it to be a story where if you had children or you knew someone who was younger than you, it can make you think twice, like if there's something wrong, you can pay attention a bit more.
And I love how you went in with the approach of not wanting to glorify the darkness, even though it is a very dark subject matter.
Yeah.
So you've had one screening in Vancouver and a second one still.
Yep.
What's the reception been like so far?
Yesterday's reception was really good. I was overwhelmed by the positivity of the film, the emotion that people had afterwards. They all had that same comment of, for them it was refreshing to see that it was taken, not that the subject matter was treated lightly, but the way it was portrayed was light. And to me, like, as the filmmaker, it makes me so happy because that was the vision, that was the emotion that I wanted to get across, and it apparently was received that way. And so I'm hoping even with the next screening I get more feedback on how it helped people. So yeah.
So you've only done shorts up to this point?
Yes.
Do you have any plans for the feature, or a feature?
Yeah, I have written 2 features and a TV pilot that I'm hoping to continue working on and actually get made. But I think for now I want to stick with shorts because I feel like being a short filmmaker, it is a very specific type of filmmaking, and I think doing shorts really helps you become a stronger feature filmmaker. So yeah, it's in the future, but for now, shorts, I think.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for coming by and joining us here, and we wish you best of luck with the film.
Thank you so much for having me.